Hello? All right, you guys can go ahead and have a seat. Alrighty, so here, I thought I had it ready. I don't. All right, so the main topic for the next 3 weeks is going to be a forward focus. And then for today, we're going to be focusing on remembering past victories, if I can. Okay. So remembering past victories, and in the book, the main verse is the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of the Philistine. 1 Samuel 17:37. So this section is remembering, I mean, like it says, like past victories. So it'll be like the victories that we've had within our lives. But in the book, she begins to like talk about how like remembering can sometimes like not always be the best thing for some people. Like they might have like a past that they would much rather forget that they had, or like events that happened in their past that they'd much rather move on from. And so like trying to like reflect on like the past, or like thinking back to like what God has done, can also sometimes dig up like things in the past that people like that have hurt them, or like they don't want to concentrate on. And so like we might remember like shortcomings of ourselves, or like the things that we failed in our life, or like I said, like events that might have hurt us. And in the book, she says, recalling old hurts, offenses, disappointments, or failures will cause all of the emotions associated with them to rush to your mind and wreak havoc once again. So like just like remembering, like I said, like it could bring up like some things in the past that you don't want to remember. But some things in our past, even though they were bad, like those bad events were turned into something good because of the way that like God would be glorified through them, or like the way He used those situations in our life. So the first example we're talking about is when Saul doubts David. So in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 33 to 37, it says, Saul replied, you are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth. But David said to Saul, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or bear came and carried off his sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. Its uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of the Philistine. So one thing I wanted to like touch upon before like moving on to like remembering like the victory that came out of this story would be like Saul's words towards David. So if we put ourselves in David's shoes, like in that story, like if that was our story in our past, like what would we hold on to? So we could either hold on to the words that Saul gave him, or we can hold on to the victory that came out of it, or the faith that we had that allowed David to like have that victory in that part of his life. So do we choose to be bitter, or do we remember what God did? So this was like kind of funny to me, because on Sunday, like within our meeting, we were talking about, that was like one of like the topics, that was the main topic actually, was being like bitter towards people. And I feel like if I was in David's shoes, I know that I would have probably wanted to like hold on to like those hurtful words when he kind of explicitly says like, you're not able to go out against him, like you're only a young man. So he was kind of just like, the part is like, you're only a young man, saying like, oh, you're just a kid, right? But it doesn't really matter like your age, or like your age, right? Or like where you come from, because like at the end of the day, it'll be God working through you, not like yourself. And so in situations like that, like thinking in the past, like do we choose to hold on to it like forever? And then if we become bitter, like choosing to become bitter, like that's not what God wants for us in our lives. He wants us to be able to like move on like with his help, so that way we can continue in our work and like not have people's words make us doubt our ability to do things for him. So like one verse that is really important with being better is Hebrews 12:15. I don't like people looking over there. So I'll read it down here. So to see to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter roots grow up to cause trouble and defile many. So, God doesn't want those like roots of bitterness to like grow within us, because at the end of the day, they will just continue to hurt us, and like we'll just continue to let that bitterness grow within us, and it will kind of like what we talked about is that like bitterness could hinder like not only yourself, like poison yourself, but also the people around you, because it'll kind of determine like the dynamic. So like, let's say you were having like beef or like something. You're having like a conflict with somebody, right? Like you're within like a friend group, like you know how awkward it is, and you know how like weird it feels. So like you know that like that that conflict, like it affects everybody, right? Because like you feel that awkwardness, like you know the tension's there. But like that's how it could be like in different, like being bitter, right? Like it'll affect like your relationships with people, and just like also the way that you perceive relationships with people. Like it'll like cause you to not want to have, like close off maybe in some situations. And so then if you were to have like that root of bitterness, like God has like there's different ways to move on from them, and it's not like easy, it's like easier said than done, right? But the main thing is like addressing the root, so self-examination, praying for God to reveal the reason. So you might not know, well, like you might not want to dig up why maybe you're acting a certain way or towards somebody, or like just in general, like your attitude might have changed. And it'll just take like for you to take that step to reflect on like, why am I acting this way, or why did somebody's actions like trigger me or like hurt me, and like why am I holding on to it so much? And like if you pray to God, like he'll be able to free you from that and like reveal like where like that root came from, or like where that bitterness came from in the beginning. And then the next thing would be believing in God's words. So we could be deceived by the enemy, seeing and perceiving things that fuel us. So I know like when things are like chaotic, like you don't see the full picture clearly, like one example I could think of is like, like when the water is like, there's like a ripple, right? You can't really see the clear picture, it just looks like kind of like wavy, but when the water is calm, you're able to see like the perfect reflection. So like if you're like in that moment of like bitterness and stuff, like you maybe like a person says something and you'll take it like the total opposite, because like that's what you want to see, like that's what you're perceiving. And also like the enemy might want to like put in your head that like that's a person's intentions are not always good, like it'll make you want to see like the bad in somebody. And then the last thing is forgiveness. And I know we had like a section with forgiveness, and then that one is like not always easy, because it was a section itself, and like it just like it shows how delicate it could be, especially with different situations in people's lives. Like there's things that might have happened to them, like it's not easy, it's easier said than done. But letting go so that you can be free from the bitterness, so that way God can go ahead and like work in your life, and that way you'll feel like that freedom also, because like you feel it within yourself. Like I gave like an example within our meeting, like how I was like holding on to like resentment and bitterness towards a person, and like when I was able to let it go, I was able to like not always, whenever they did something bad, I didn't always want to like dig up the past again. I just wanted to like deal with it then, and like move on, and like not hurt my relationship because of what happened before. And like letting it go, like just for myself also, made me feel like more calm and more especially like when I'm like around a person so much, so it was like I was able to feel like more better being around the person, and like creating a relationship with them was easier, or like it felt right. It didn't always feel like I was like there was so much tension like that I wanted to create, or like I wanted to hold on in my brain. But letting it go was definitely like a switch, and especially seeing like the way like just like the feeling of it is just like it feels better. Not wanting to like, not having like that, you know, like I said, like that conflict or like that bitterness towards a person. And sometimes the person doesn't even know why you're reacting certain ways. So like, you know, always either letting them know or like confronting it, but like in a good way. So that way, like they know, like, okay, where did things go wrong, and also for yourself to be like freed from that. And a word of your an example I put, or like for the next slide, is Luke 23:34. So it says, Jesus, oh my gosh. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. And they divided up his clothes and casting lots. So this is when Jesus was on the cross, and you know, they were like mocking him and like, you know, telling him like, oh, if you're the Son of God, like you can get down yourself, you know, like they were like just like, you know, saying all these things to him. But at the end of the day, like he asked for God to forgive them for their actions, because like you know, like when they don't like, I don't even know why I'm going to this, but at the end of the day, like no matter what and like how much harm they caused him, like he still asked for forgiveness on their behalf, because like you know, holding on to it and getting angry about it will not benefit anything in the situation, especially for like the Jesus' purpose behind the cross. Like maybe the will wouldn't have been done if he didn't go through it completely through God's will. So I lost my spot. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, it was that. Okay. And then the next thing would be like, along with forgiveness, it's like um, it's not through our own strength, but it's like God will assist us on that. Because like if we, okay, sorry. I lost my spot. Where'd my paper go? Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. So forgiveness doesn't come just like from, we don't do it by ourselves. Like anything that God would ask us to do, he's not asking us to do it by ourselves or through our own strength, but he's there to assist us with anything that he asks us to, and he's always by our side. And everything that we do is through his power. Like if I were to do something here, it's not through my own strength that I'm able to, you know, I mean, just standing up here, I can't do this by myself, because it's already bad. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to stand up here, or I wouldn't be able to speak if he didn't allow me to, or if he didn't give me the strength to be able to do that. And then it says in Philippians 2:13, for it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. So it's God who works within you. So whenever we do something, it's not, obviously it's not for ourselves, and it's not ourselves that are doing it. It's through God's strength that we're able to do these things. And so like with forgiveness being like such like a delicate like topic for some people in their lives, and also like even for me, I know that I wasn't able to move on or do anything if it wasn't through him, because like if it was through my own intentions, I would want to hold on, or I would want to just continue to have that bitterness or that clash with the person, if it were, because it was like it was all I knew, it was all like I used to kind of like get my way in things. Like it's hard to explain it without saying it, because I don't want to say it. But yeah, it's through God they were able to do these difficult tasks. And then moving on from there, she mentions like how going back to remembering our victories. So at times we would forget, like if we want to remember, we'll forget like the things that God might have taken us out from. So in the book, she puts like the word like experience amnesia. So forgetting the experiences you have had that God has worked in the middle of. So like like if we're in a moment of like stress, or like we just feel like the world is like just upside down, and like we'll forget like the things that God has done, and even like the little things, we'll forget them, and like we'll just make the problem even bigger and not look at what he's able to do through that. Or like even in the past, like just remembering like I said, like the past victories, it'll be like it's hard at those times to remember that he got me out of something before, he'll do it again, because like we always make that problem like bigger. And then when we do forget that, like it causes like the anxiety, fear, and doubt. So we're doubting either ourselves, or there's times where you might doubt like God will get me out of this because it feels so like impactful in your life. And so then next thing will be like remembering. So in the book she states, recall the good things God has done for you, for your friends, acquaintances, coworkers, and even people you have heard about on the news. So like if you can't think of like one for yourself, it's always like we have things around us, and even like people's testimonies, right? Like where they came out of, or like where God has taken them out of. And then just seeing like what he has done in other people's lives, so that way we remember how powerful he is and how good he is with us. And then it says to encourage, and it also states like to encourage. She encourages people to read on the miracles God has done, because there's like so many within the Bible. Like there's like a lot. So if you wanted to look them up, there was like so many stories, and like just even like the story of David itself, of the way like God was glorified within that situation, even though there was hurtful words towards him, like there was doubtful thoughts from people, and like the words were also like even told to him and to his face, like, oh, like you can't do this. But God in his way was glorified and was able to bring like the victory at the end of that. And then we could recall how powerful he is, because sometimes we might forget like how good he could be, and how like the things that he's able to do that are like without, that we're not capable of doing as humans, like it's just out of our scope of practice. So it's like the miracles in the Bible. And then Exodus 15:6, be an example. It says, your right hand, O Lord, glorious in power, your right hand, O Lord, shatters the enemy. So it says like he's able to bring down the enemy when when he's able to bring down the enemy, like even though we think like our problem is so much bigger, we can recall that like he's brought out the enemy, and he's given the victory to many other people. And then that same power, like the same examples that we see within the Bible, and the big things that he's done, doesn't mean that he won't and he can't do it today. Because like it says in Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. So whatever, like what I believe, like anybody, right? In the Bible, like when it says like for me it's like set in stone, like forever means absolutely forever. Like he is like the most constant, like the same things he was able to do back then, like he can do it now. And just remembering that will, like, at least for me, like it gives me like a sense of peace, especially like when if I'm in a moment and I think like I'm just overwhelmed with everything, I could just remember that he can take me out of it. And even though it's like the thing like crazy and big, like for me at least, like school gets a lot in my head, and I get like really stressed about it, and I get like overworked thinking about it. Like even for tests, like I was telling Chris, like I was super stressed about a test that I had, because like I just kept thinking it was just so much bigger than what it actually was. But this gave me like a sense of peace that like he's able to work through me like the way he did in the past. He's able to do it now with anybody. And then in Psalms 4:8, it says, in peace and with a tranquil heart, I will both lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in a safety and confident trust. So, within the Bible, we could see that like God is somebody that we can trust with, the things that go on in our lives. And just like, he gives us that confidence to trust him, because like at least I have the confidence to trust because I'm able to see what he has done, like not for just other people, like whether it's like in my life or like in the Bible, but also for myself. Like if I think in the past, I could think about like, oh, like what did I get out of, or like what did I go through, but I just think about like God is the one that took me out of it, or like He's the one that brought me here safely, and He's the one that He like orchestrated this whole thing for us to like at the end of the day to like end up here, like we're able to like He just like did everything. So like to me that's just like really like powerful, just because like I could trust not only Him but like trust His process, because like the process is also really hard, but at the end of the day He gives us that trust, and He shows us that we can trust Him through like the many things that He's done for other people. And then that'll be it. And then next week it's the pessimistic attitude, the tendency to expect the worst to happen. So tendency to expect the worst to happen, yeah. So that'll be next week.